in getting started, but I don't think anybody really minded because food tasted so darn good. So maybe we should look at getting started here in a minute or so. I think everybody just finishing up.
We're not live.
So, okay, so we're now live. So I'd like to bring the meeting to order and thank everyone for coming. I'd also like to thank the staff for the meal that they put on. It was an excellent meal. And I know Hollis was the one that made the choices on that. And if you're listening, Hollis, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed your supper as much as we've enjoyed ours. What I end up at. Sincerely, all the best tomorrow with your procedure from us here at the board. And we know you'll do well, and we'll see you when you get back. Okay, we'll have a declaration of the quorum. I guess everybody's, well, the majority of folks are here, so we do have a quorum. Is there anyone here that might have a conflict of interest declaration that they'd like to make this evening? Okay, thank you. You've all had a chance to look at the agenda. If there are no questions or comments, could I have someone move that the agenda be adopted as presented? Thanks, Winston. Second, please. Thanks, Barbie. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I did look at you, Wade, to make sure that the okay, minutes of March 24th, 2022. You've all had a chance to review those minutes. If there are no questions or comments, could I have someone move that those minutes be accepted as presented? Thank you, Sam. Not Sam, sorry.
Yeah, Wayne.
Wayne. Yeah, I'll get it right. Just give me a couple of minutes. A seconder?
Oh, second.
Kate
is the name you already.
Kate got it. Yeah. All those in favor of the adoption signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. No nays. Okay, business arising from the previous minutes. SNBSC mileage rate. Do you have anything on that? I'll be able to speak to that.
Okay.
We discussed at our last board meeting a number of avenues by which we were thinking of adopting a new method of determining mileage rates. Cost of travel. Since that time, and we looked at a number of things, but since that time, the province they have set their new rate at I believe it's 51 cents. So I think the proposal was that since the province had already raised it to 51, that's really the price that we were kind of looking at anyway, was the 51 cents. So I don't think there'd be any opposition to continuing to move along with that 51 cent provincial state.
I think it's 50.
Is it 50? Okay, 50. But there was one segment of that we thought we would want to take a look at. In the bylaws, it stated that our mileage would be in accordance with the provincial rate. And we had talked about changing that so that so was there still a desire to move? I think there was the last time we spoke. There was still a desire to move away from a fixed provincial rate, and that we would use that as a guideline in setting our own rate at the landfill.
Again, that one under the notice of motion
Yes,
for this meeting so that we could vote on after this meeting.
right. So with that background, we can move to that notice of motion. Okay, or the motion, sorry. Or do you want to discuss it anymore then?
Well,
Yeah,
And the province will set a rate, even though it's not a good rate, because they're encouraging them to rent a vehicle. That's not something we're not gonna rent a vehicle and come to a meeting. Price. Right, you don't have that option. Yeah.
Okay.
They'll encourage you with that.
They do. I just want to add one thing. to the government policy. The 50-cent government policy, I think I sent Hall's email on, but the raise in the government rates are based on last year's cost of running a vehicle, which is the proper way to do it. Because then you're not into these spikes up and down. So you set your rate that way. So it specifically said on the notice that was sent to me as government employee that it was being raised to 50 cents and then down to 45, down to 41, whatever raise that you increase your mileage through the year. When they did the evaluation on it last year, they found that the cost of running a vehicle was 22% more than the last time they had reviewed it, irregardless of the gas spike this year. So that sets it at a kind of a base rate based on the cost of vehicles and insurance and everything else. And what they also said was, by the same token, we did not drop it 2 years ago when gas was $1 a liter per year. So that we're not sort of into spiking it up and down all the time because it's just too hard to manage. So, we can still do that. So the beauty of having that stable rate, we're doing it on that basis of what it costs to run a vehicle with everything included, not just gas. Then if it goes up to $3 a liter per year and you want to put 5 cents on it as a premium, then you can take that 5 cents off if it goes down again without reviewing the other costs. So that's the only thing that I would add. So, you could certainly vote and take that. If that reference means that we have to follow the government policy, then I'd be in favor of taking it out. But we would just simply say that we would consider government rates the starting point for something.
You can just take it out and then it's all the same thing, then it's up to the board then to decide what the rate's gonna be.
Yeah, I know that. What I'm saying is you still put in there that the government rates could be a guide as well. It's not mandatory, but a guide, so that when you go to review something 3 years from now, and the government you found out that the government raised theirs another 10 cents, then that's starting.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Wade, comment?
So what if you did a base, like a base for the vehicle itself, but then made the gas portion of the reimbursement flexible based on, whatever the cost per liter is, right? So that you had so much for the use of your vehicle for the wear and tear, and then the gas part of it was flexible. You could adjust it as a percentage of whatever the liters are, the cost of the liters are, and you could change it monthly, you could change it quarterly, whatever you wanted.
Well, that's another option. Thanks, Wade, of how to do that. I'm just going to read this just to remind everybody what the notice of motion was. The notice of motion was moved by Dennis and seconded by Jim. Be given to change the bylaws to remove the reference in the appendix pertaining to the mileage rate referencing the provincial mileage rates. So that was the notice of motion, was to move away from that as having a being tied to it directly. So either way we go at it, and there's been some suggestions here. So I think the basis of the motion is to move away from the provincial mileage rate. I think everybody was looking to do that. We had talked about setting it at the 50-51 cent level, which is in accordance with the problems. I know we did talk about looking at a couple of the companies, JD Powers and Consumer Reports, to try and determine what the average cost of running a vehicle was. I'm not sure that was done. I did not do that myself. Did anybody else have a look at that? Yeah, I think I might have lost that one. So I'm not sure where you would like to take this at this point.
I'll make a motion that we change from accept the notice of motion stating whatever was in the notice of motion.
Okay. So that would be the motion then would be to remove the reference in the appendix pertaining to the mileage rate, referencing the provincial mileage. So do we want to make that motion first? That's on the floor. Can we have a seconder on that?
No second.
Please, Sam, thank you. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I say nay. Okay, thank you. So we will remove the reference pertaining to the provincial rates. Is there anything else that we want to put in there concerning the rate that'll be arbitrarily set? Based on and what is the question?
Well. You do have to have something, some kind of a guidance, whether it be consumer price index or CAA or something. We should have some kind of a guideline to take you through that. So having removed the reference to the government doesn't necessarily mean that we can't use the government's guidelines, right? Because they have researched it through these organizations. That's how they come up with their average cost of running a vehicle. So, for an interim measure, I guess from me, what I would like to see is that we match what the government has set for this year based on their evaluations of running the vehicle based on last year's cost. If they're starting and get that over with so that nobody's losing money on a vehicle. And then if you want to go further and have say a suggestion would be to look at the gas price, say 3 months from now, and it's going up another dollar, then time to move and time to put 5 or 10 cents on the green. If it stayed the same or it's gone down a little bit, but maybe just have either Mark or Hollis, take the initiative for that and look at those figures on a, say a 3-month basis or 6 months on the cost of gas. What we can already establish what the cost is going to be. Because that's what the government's down on you. So that's just my opinion of it. That you can't just sit around and say, well, I guess we'll put it at 60 or 70. You've got something to go by. So and the other thing too is that it depends on your organization too. If you have very little use of private vehicles, say, or somebody in planning or whatever, if they're only taking one trip a year somewhere in their vehicle, they're not losing money because they're 50 cents, when you go to St. John now, let's say it's kilometers up there and back. So at 50 cents, you can get $100. You go $50 in gas. So you're not putting $50 worth of wear and tear on in one trip. But if you're going every day as an inspector like I do, after 3 months, you need a set of tires, you need this, you need that, you need unlimited miles for insurance. So that's why they said that they had a higher rate for the first 2,000 kilometers, because they were expected to pay for all those extras. Then and then after you put on 8,000 kilometers, and you make taking $4,000, when you pay for all that other stuff, then at that point, then you're only having to pay for the gas at a lower rate. So if somebody that uses the vehicle every day of their own, 50 cents is not really enough to do it. But if you send somebody to I don't know, Moncton or something that and they have to use their own vehicle at 400 kilometers, if they're max $200 for $150 of the gas, they haven't put any more repair on the car for that one trip. So that's kind of how they look at it.
In the past that we had employees rent vehicles if they're going any distances, like on two different products, so that type of thing. But overall, for planning and the landfill, all the company vehicles are provided. So they when it comes to the employees, there's very little miles.
And it's the same with us. We're even though I just went on we're expected to run a vehicle to take up 400 or 500 kilometers, correct? If we can't get one fine, then, you know, you take yours, but, you know, but right now, it's hard to get
Try to find.
reserve, you know, days and days away, and, you know, may have something up that says, okay, you gotta be here or there tomorrow, or can't get around a vehicle, then you have to take it home. So it does make a difference.
Would the board be pleased to look at, we'll send this back to the staff. We'll have them look at a number of options as to how they do the cost analysis for mileage on vehicles. We can take a look at a couple of companies like JD Power, Consumer Reports, and maybe federal, provincial government, see what that cross-reference looks like. I'd also, if you so please, we could make a motion that we move our gas mileage price or mileage price to the 50-cent level for the interim period until we can review this and then set that again.
For some,
That sound okay? Okay. Would someone like to make that motion? Jim, seconder. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Any names? Okay, thank you. Local governance reform. We have had a couple of meetings this past month or so, but they've been information sessions really between Hollis and Ken. Has everybody met Ken?
I went around the table. But,
Okay, I was gonna say, geez, I better make sure I introduce you to everyone. So I've invited Ken to give us a little quick briefing as to what's been going on with the local governance reform.
I'm going to stand up because I'm vertically challenged, so I want to make sure that. My name is Ken Anthony, as Ken said, and thanks for inviting me along this evening. It was a great meal. I started, I guess, in the municipal world back in '86 as the director of Parks and Recreation, and I finished up my career in Woodstock as the chief administrative officer December 31st of last year. And I was going to retire, and I was always wondering about local government. So that was all about. So I guess I made a couple of phone calls to see if there's any opportunities, and I was hired in the later part of February, and I started in March. And we did have 2 meetings so far in RSC 10. And what we have done so far is I reached out to all of the, I guess, the staff people of the respective municipalities in RSC 10 to work on to be part of a working group. And I reviewed the working group today with Ken, also to the Halls, of course, at the beginning. And one area that we have not accommodated is the LSD representation. And we're going to make sure that LSD representation is there, because at the end of the day, from where I come from, and I mean, I guess my life is municipal government. That's where I spent my time, a couple of years with the province, but municipal government really. And we're looking at the current mandated services that we have, and then of course the future mandated services. And to me, it's very similar to run a municipality. I mean, you know, you have your tourism, your economic development, public works, and so forth. So everything, if the working group that we have in place, we have 7 staff people. So if the missing link is an LSD person, and Ken is going to have a chat with a couple of people to see who that person may be on the group. And once we get that group in place, we're going to have our first meeting. And I'm hoping, if it can work out, it'll probably be the week of May 9th, is what I'm hoping for. And will be an opportunity then to come together with the staff people plus the LSD rep and have a look at our current services and have a look at our future services and start the process to move forward. So, and the other good thing from where I sit is this Monday and Tuesday, Glenn, I guess you're involved as well in the meetings in Fredericton, and it's going to provide us a little bit more information on where we're going, I guess, over the next number of months. But I wanted to come along tonight to let you know that I'm going to be working with you people, and I'm going to make sure that people are included, because that's the only way I can operate. We're here to provide services to the taxpayers, in this particular case of RSC 10. So services, there's a cost of services and there's a need for services. So that is what we're going to work on. And anything that happens, I'll say to you categorically right now, things will not go to the public before the board is aware. Now, of course, the decisions are going to be made and we're hoping the board is going to support them. But at the end of the day, you're not going to have to worry about being out in public and find out something from the public. You're not going to find out from your staff and me as the representative of ours. So that's one commitment I can make to you. So any questions you have for me, go ahead.
What role does the board have besides just hearing what change going to be and agreeing?
Audit, there's also some more board representation, some of the further activities is there, but we're still reviewing it, but there's gonna be board representation right into the point of interviewing for the chief executive officer. So the board is gonna be involved in the process. And we got a little few tweaks to fix it up, but at the end of the day, I can categorically say that the board will not just be a board with no involvement, it will be involved. There's no other way for it to happen. You're the people who answer to the public.
Did you say you reached out to all municipalities for this stuff?
Yeah.
For the board set?
Pardon me?
Did you say you reached out to
Yeah.
all of them? I don't remember seeing it, so.
Which one did I
Yes,
miss?
well,
Camarillo, I spoke to Camarillo, yeah.
must spoke to her.
In Amanda? Yeah.
She didn't pass it along, so.
Oh, no.
So-
No, oh, no, look, that's fine. I mean, you know, I hope I don't get in trouble with your staff either, but I just didn't throw the names in the hat and said, guys and girls on the group. I took the time to call them and speak, so I did.
I was just gonna say we'd like to be involved.
Oh, well, you're involved.
I'm still trying to understand the new mandate of the Service Commission with regards to the aviation. I understood that our region for the kind of a leadership role in implementing some cost sharing between communities for certain facilities. Beyond that, is there anything else when it comes to services that you anticipate to actually have the commission get involved?
Well, the commission, I guess, would be involved in all services that.
No, I'm saying like, no, is there anything? I'm trying to understand what is new, because I thought that we have pioneered this way of actually sharing recreation costs by putting a bit of extra points on the taxation to cover for the running of certain facilities. Beyond that, what is the extra things in terms of mandate? Just as I don't want details, just a block concepts that they are anticipated
Future mandated services?
in terms of recreation, yes.
And recreation, well, now in this section, you have some recreation now, right?
Yeah.
And also tourism policy, when we looked at through, is it sharing?
Well, that would be possible, one possibility.
One possibility, that's all it is, right? But, well, one big thing with the working group, this is also a learn for me as well. So when we had that first working group meeting, we had the 7 staff people plus LSD rep. It's gonna be a learn for me too, to find out the status of some of the services, current levels.
Recreation laws,
Yeah.
sign, seal, and deliver.
Glenn, did you?
Well, I'm not sure I completely understand the question, but the increased mandate of the Regional Service Commission is there's recreation, economic development, social development,
Community
community development, and tourism
Transit.
and transportation, right? So those are the 6 new areas that have been given the responsibility of the Regional Service Commission that I can remember that were in the white paper.
That was correct.
Public safety, that's the other one.
And
Yeah.
public safety is something to be a little bit further, but it's tough.
Yeah, it was kind of.
And as I said, sitting down talking this now, Mark and I said, I guess some of our buildings are gonna make the hallway a little bit longer, we put a few more rooms into it, because we're gonna have more services to provide, so. And you know, it's not like I say, one thing about me, I mean, maybe it's my background, it's being a Newfoundlander, I mean, you know, what you see is what you get, and my memory's not good enough to tell a lie, so we're not going at it, so the thing with it is that we just want to make sure that when we deliver services for RSC 10, that we had the right people at the table and we got a full representation. So that's our #1 goal. And Claudette is probably going to hate to see me coming, but both of you good people are probably going to see more than you really want to. But we got to move on. And when we go to bed tonight, we all got to have an extra pair for Hollis, because I mean, I think you like to be here today, be good, but you can't. So but I know we're going to get. And it's all about serving people, and if we keep that as our philosophy, we should be fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
No other questions, comments?
I'm gonna hang around, that's okay.
Okay, yeah, no worries, no, like,
I got nowhere to go.
Just in there, Dan.
oh, sorry, Dennis.
I just wondered, did you say there was gonna be 1 or 2 LSDs? On this?
Well, we say we need LSD representation, so whatever that number is important.
Yeah, well, I just wondered if you're including the board, there's eight LSDs
Yeah.
involved.
Well, it won't be all eight, I wouldn't think. I mean, it had to be a representation, of one, potentially two, but. You know, but you know what happened with numbers, the bigger the numbers that get.
Yeah, the
tougher to do things.
working group itself, if I may interject just for a minute, Ken. The working group is primarily made up of the CAOs. And we wanted to make sure that there were LSD folks in there. It's not going to be the mayor's sitting at the working group level. That's really the CAOs, and we'd like to have some LSD representation out there as well.
And the board feel that you need two LSD reps to cover what you need to cover. That's not the board.
So what? Yeah, but that's what I call it. You want the CEOs of the municipalities today. So who is you want the LSD? Well, because they don't have a CAO right now, so you need,
I just occurred, so.
yeah.
That's why I asked my question. We don't have a CA.
Yeah, right?
So we don't, so.
It's a CAO work.
CEO slash clerk.
Yeah.
The only position that a municipality has to have, the clerk.
See, I'd rather do that instead of her myself. Like, I'd rather be involved with that instead of, you know what I'm saying? She's busy enough.
Well, we can be with us. Okay.
Or you can make that rule and get down to table.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Errol. Oh, we have Darren with us now and Jason. Welcome, guys. They've probably been there for a while.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have anything under new business? Oh, okay. That was a good meal. Wasn't it? Everybody said. Committee and staff reports, the executive director's report.
Is it the executive director's report? Or is that during the topic?
No, go ahead.
On screen. Well, prepare for my new position.
There it is.
On screen.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess I'm filling in here. Solid waste totals for the end of March, 2022, 16,000 metric tons. That compares to 2021 at 15,000 and 2020 at around 14,000. Planning, as of the end of March, in terms of building permits, we had 58. Historical at this time last year was 62, and in 2020 it was 23. In terms of development permits, so these are permits just for zoning. 2022 is 13 at this point, March, and 2021 is 38. 2022 is 23. So solid waste, there's a modest uptake in the volumes so far this year. This doesn't have any particular attributable factor. They're going to continue monitoring the waste, see if there's significant difference in volume going forward. The crew is preparing to get cell 12 operational by spring. The PE liner will be installed as soon as the weather and ground conditions allow. It is anticipated that they'll be in cell 12 by summer, needing changes to the road leading in once again. The white goods collection program has started again. New this year is the opportunity to make requests online for appliance collection from our website, which is working very well with many requests coming in from that source. Actually, I'm able to see those use my planning login, and I saw some of these requests come in live. Similar software as our new building permit application. With regards to planning, we're on pace with last year's volume of permit applications, indicating that we're likely not to be slowing down this year. And as I just mentioned, the online permit application is rolling out, and we're becoming paperless, which is excellent. It actually will help us increase our efficiency And we're kind of amazed by the software that Paul's put in place. There was a provincial meeting with the RSC executive directors on April 7th and 8th that Paul's attended. The large part of the discussion were around local government law. However, there were some other ideas presented, including the possibility of a provincially shared resource for locating, tracking, and applying for federal and provincial grants. And then lastly, on reform updates, Paul said that there's been 2 meetings with Ken Anthony on March 30th and April 6th of the past month. Both meetings were about fact finding and information sharing largely. That concludes Hollis's report.
Thank you very much, Alex.
To move that hand up on the screen.
Wait.
Wade,
Oh, there.
oh, Darren, sorry.
Oh, thanks
No,
for
I think
noticing.
that's just the mouse.
Oh, okay.
Coincidental placement.
We're still learning about this digital world. It's a white and not a yellow one. Okay. Any questions on the director's report?
I have 2 quick questions.
Yep.
The first one is with the white trust. Do we make money? The commission makes money out of them, and if it makes money, is there any competition from private people who want to pick up still?
On the white labels?
Money.
Okay, well, no, it isn't really about making money. It's that it's not going into the landfill. That if you put it out with some household waste, the garbage truck put it right in the back and it'll land in the landfill. It's not what we're looking for. It is not a money maker. Mark, I guess, probably speaks to this better when it comes to actual costs, but it's a recycling program.
Okay, but the only reason for which I mentioned was the fact that the resident who actually wish to actually pick them up and sell them for.
Now, when we do sell our metals, depending on what the price is, runs between $45 and $85 a ton. We get
So
for
what
it.
I'm saying is that if someone
Oh,
goes out and picks
yeah,
the
when we have people do that, when the price of metal goes up,
yeah,
we'll get all these calls and say, you know, like where our truck will hold like 36, and our drivers will go to pick them up, and there'll be probably a third or a half of them out there because
somebody pick them up.
privately goes and picks it up. Now, we don't compete with them,
Okay.
but if you want to go get it before us, you're welcome to.
Okay.
The only thing we ask for, if you're talking to anyone, the only thing we ask for is if you do call in and say you have one there and someone does come and take it or for whatever reason, they call and tell us so that our truck doesn't make the trip.
The other thing is, I wanted to ask is that the permits, there is a trend to be lower than last year.
It's slightly going down, but last year was also a very busy year. Like COVID had kind of just started to loosen up. But I don't think this is a good, like just Q1, a real good indicator as to what the whole year is gonna. Yeah.
The other reason they do that, picking up of the white goods, is that we have the capability of taking the materials or the refrigerants out of those safely so that they're not released into the atmosphere. So that's the other reason why we do that for the region. Yeah. Okay, if there's no other questions on the director's report, we'll move on to the Human Resources Committee report. Dennis Blair.
HR?
HR.
Oh, sorry, HR. Wade. Did you want to make a report, Wade?
Well, basically, the only thing we needed to report on was the fact that we had finalized the executive director's annual assessment. Pretty good response this year from everybody, so I appreciate that. And that was with Hollis for his signature. It was all good. There was a few minor areas where we wanted to see some improvements, but other than that, strong performance on Hollis's on Hollis's behalf. And so that's with him right now for his signature. Once he signs it, I'll sign it, and then it'll go into his file. So I don't know if Claudette, if you've seen that or not yet, or have you? No, because that's once he gets that to you, you can give him his pay increase.
Okay, I'll get it from him and I'll email it to you and put it in the file.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Wade. Thank you. Any questions on that? Okay. Finance and Audit Committee report. That's gonna be Wednesday.
I just have a motion to acceptance of audited draft 2021 financial statement, which I think everybody is should have read anyway, if you sent everybody. So I make the motion to accept it.
Did I have someone second it? Dennis, thank you. Any questions on that before we close? Okay. If everyone is in agreement that we approve the motion as presented, would you signify by saying aye? Aye. Okay, any nays? Anything else, Winston? Thank you. Now we'll move on then to the financial report.
So we have our annual financial statements here from Keith Saunders Doyle. We received the standard auditor's report. And we go over page 3. And this is our statement of operations for the year. So we saw increases in our revenues, expenses for cooperative regional planning and local planning services. Both were about the same as what we had budgeted. And solid waste services, actual expenditures were under budget. So as a result, the whole year, our annual operating surplus actually became a deficit. It was a surplus the year before. So we had a deficit, sorry, of $128,623 for the year. And we had a beginning surplus of $16,790,000. So we end the year with $16,661,000. The other part of our operations income is the next page. It's our statement of remeasurement gains and losses. And this reflects the foreign currency change in our investments in the closure fund, as well as receivables. So the net change in the year, our exchange gains went up by $87,000. We started out the year with $197,000 in unrealized gains. And at the end of the year, there's $284,000 in unrealized gains. Next page is our statement of financial position. So these are all the assets and liabilities that we hold. First section are financial assets, cash, receivables, and our portfolio investments, which are closure fund. Total $7,496,000. And financial assets are all things that are cash or easily convertible into cash. Liabilities are things we owe to other people. So trade payables, money due to other different people, deferred grants. Our big one is the closure and post-closure liability, which is the money we need to have set aside in the future to take care of the landfill when it's closed. So our net financial assets, basically, if we were to close up tomorrow and our closure fund was enough to cover all of our closure costs, we'd have $5,261,000 available to distribute somewhere. And that's just cash. Our non-financial assets are the next section. So those are the things we can't convert into cash readily, but they do have future value. So our net tangible capital assets are $11,626,000. And that's pretty close to what the value was the year before. We have a little bit of inventory supplies and prepaid expenses. And so when you take our net financial assets and add on our non-financial assets, we have $16,946,000 in net value. And the next pages, they're the changes in our net financial assets and our cash flows. The only thing I'm going to touch on page 7 for cash flows is we claimed amortization on our capital assets during the year of $1,558,000. And we only purchased $1,158,000 of new assets. And that's because we didn't finalize our cell construction last year. So we'll catch up on that this year. I do apologize, the print is awfully small on this. The draft statements that we got were a little bigger print. If you went back in the statements too, note 8 has the details on the closure fund calculation. And the note on the second previous year surpluses that we need to take into our budget in coming years is in note 12. So for this current year, our surplus in solid waste on our funding model basis was $874,000. Cooperative regional planning had a surplus of $3,700. And local planning had a deficit of about $3,300. So we'll pick those up when we do the 2023 budget coming up. If that's all I have to say about that. Any questions on the statements?
A lot of quick detail there.
Yeah.
If you have any-
Wayne,
Wade,
Yeah, just wondering, on the auditor's report, were there any recommendations by the auditors, any verbal ones or written ones?
No, that's in your package. There was nothing in there. That's the communication of the audit results. Right.
is there everybody, I handed it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
no other questions, Wade? Nothing. Okay, any other questions? We'll move on to that one. I don't have anything else at this point to bring up. Is there anything else anybody else would like to bring up? Are there any questions from the public, Alex?
I have one question.
Yes.
Does anyone know when the regulations for the Bill 82 may be coming up? What consultation may happen? The people who are in communication with the province, do they have any information about
I'm sorry, I missed that.
that? The regulations.
The regulations.
Regulations for Bill 82. Does anyone knows what's the process, what is going to be coming, what consultation is going to be either in the legislature or with the municipalities?
I'm not aware of any, John. Is anybody else? Yeah.
When it comes to the planning, there may be some consultations coming this summer. With these, there's a normal requirement of a 30-day comment period. So it's less so with like when they do big like changes to like the act and legislation. So I think what's going to happen with some of the regulations is they're going to talk to some of the various like administrators or professionals who are working with those on a day-to-day basis first. And it kind of depends on the department, but I know planning, we understand that the planning director is going to be talking to other planning directors in the province before they really put the draft out there for the 30-day comment period. But the public can comment on these regulations typically for 30 days before they're actually for planning.
Okay, thank you.
But Mr. Chair, also we don't have any comments from the public this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. The next meeting will be May 26th at 6 p.m. and that'll be at the landfill site. If there's nothing else,
I move we adjourn.
Dennis, well done. We will consider ourselves adjourned. Thank you very much. So I think what we'll do, if you don't mind, we'll take 5 minutes. That's a good starter on my heart there. But anyway, we'll take 5 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll start the annual meeting. Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome back. This one here, this meeting will be the annual general meeting. The Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission. We'll call to order, and we've already got everybody's membership, so we don't have to do that again. Declaration of quorum, we still have the quorum. Thank you for not all running away after the last meeting. Adoption of the agenda, you've all, or sorry, before I do that, conflict of interest. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with the comments or the discussion we're going to have at this meeting this evening? Oh, okay, thank you. First off, we'll adopt the agenda as presented. Is you are willing to do that? Is somebody willing to move that the agenda be adopted as presented? Thank you, Winston. Seconded. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. All those in favor of supporting that motion? Signify by saying aye. Thank you. Any nays? Thank you. Adoption of the minutes of April 22nd, 2021 annual general meeting. If you've all had a chance to review that, there's no questions or comments. I do have someone move that I was to adopted.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Wayne and Annette, there's a second. All those in favor of adopting those minutes as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Any nays? Thank you. That leads me to the chairperson's report. It's in your package. But since I have my glasses, I will read them. Joint message from the chair and the executive director. Dear Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission stakeholders, on behalf of the board of directors and the staff of the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, we are pleased to present the annual report for 2021. And so this, when I say we, it's myself and Hollis that are putting this out. It is safe to say nobody anticipated that the COVID-19 pandemic would continue as it did throughout 2021, presenting challenges in the operation and governance of SNBSC. That said, SNBSC still rose to the challenges and was able to move forward on many fronts. The discussion that dominated 2021 was local governance reform, both for our directors in their respective local governments and the impact on regional service commission. SNBSC was proactive in setting up to take new directions, with a start on discussions around the adoption of community development within our mandate. SNBSC had already taken large steps towards incorporating recreation infrastructure cost sharing, with the board voting to adopt a new recreation policy in April of 2021. The year saw the construction and opening of a new public drop-off at Hemlock Knoll Solid Waste, along with continued landfill cell construction and other site improvements. Our planning division saw record numbers of building permits being processed and unprecedented growth, which is a good indication of the overall growth in our region. The new construction was not limited to residential, but also many complicated commercial and industrial builds. With affordable housing being an ever-growing challenge, the board saw fit to divest from some property that was acquired with the Wall Street property purchase and gave it away to a developer with the expressed intent of building more affordable housing units. The board also took on a new initiative by forming a regional health planning committee with the intent of addressing the primary health care shortage within our region. SNBSC ended the year once again in a healthy financial position and saw further growth. The board of directors and the staff rose to the challenge once again, adapting with positivity, hard work, and determination to see progress. We would like to sincerely thank all board and committee members for their leadership and dedication to our mission to excel at the provision of regional services, which increase the economic and environmental success of our communities and the quality of life for the residents of our region. We also sincerely thank each and every staff member for their resilience and commitment, because without them, a board can have all the grand ideas in the world, but no way to see those visions come to fruition for the region. So sincerely, myself and Hollis, and I just want to say again, thank you very much for all your cooperation and the vision that this board has put forward this past year. It has been my pleasure, certainly, to sit in this position and work with you folks. So it's been great. Thank you. And then now we'll do the presentation of the 2021 audit report, audited financial statement. Sorry. We did that with Mark. I'm gonna be looking at Winston now. Selection of auditors 2020.
Anybody talking, we have Keith Gardner and Doyle as our accountant for 2023.
2022.
Cool. Yeah, there's three of them, two auditors. Well, second.
All right. Okay, be ahead of myself.
Hey, I'm making all kinds of
Well,
errors. It's
that-
okay if you do that too.
The auditors for 2022.
2020.
2022. Okay. The seconder, thank you, Dennis. All those in favor of approving the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Any nays? Okay. Thank you very much, Winston. Normally at this point, we would do statements of disclosures. As many of you may remember, when you first came on, we signed a document stating that we have no conflict of interest with anything that we're doing with what we're doing here on the board as our positions on the board. We've decided to dispense with that this year because the board is going to be changing again come November. So there's no sense doing that addition for another year. So we'll do that again when the new members are brought around the table in the beginning of next year.
We use TD1. Income tax forms, and at the same time, we'll do statement of disclosure.
Okay.
So then we'll make sure.
Okay. Did everybody catch that? No?
No.
Or did you repeat that?
Once the new members are elected, we'll send out the income tax forms and the statement of disclosure for everyone to sign and return.
Okay. Any questions, comments from board members on anything? Heather?
Our audit's done yearly,
Yes.
not like an ordinary small business, you just hope they never show up.
No, we hire them. We pay them to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, each year I don't know what's right.
Any shoes?
You know, you go 3 or 4 years and then all of a sudden you're audited.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've asked that, you know, people outside the commission, it's like, you choose to get audited? I'm like, well, I don't personally, but yes, we do. Because we have to present our numbers to the public, so, yeah, every year. Every single year.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, any questions, comments from the public?
There's no questions tonight.
Okay. Well, Dennis, thank you very much, Dennis. I guess we're now adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Ken.
I'll try to be a little bit more.
Thank you for your service in the last months as well. So
Being ready.
very good.
My pleasure.